City, Manchester Metropolitan University. They couldn't join us for this event. Now I would request our Honorable Minister Shri KT Rama Rao ji and our Honorable Chief Guest Rekha Menon ji to please inaugurate and kindly launch the National Center Additive Manufacturing logo.
Thank you. So just when you think that you have a grasp on all the emerging technologies, here comes a new one. National Center on Additive Manufacturing or Additive Manufacturing. Request Ramadev Garu to remain on the stage. Let me also invite Srimati Sweta Kolluri, Head of Experimentation, Accelerator Lab, UNDP India, and Srimati Dibya Singh, Strategy and Innovation Lead, UNDP, for an MOU exchange. And this is a very interesting item. Global food demand is increasing. On the other hand, climate change is causing a loss in food productivity. Together, there is a huge threat to the world. In this regard, United Nations Development Program, the UNDP, and the government of Telangana under the Emerging Technologies Wing have come together to promote some strategies. Under the MOU, both parties will actively promote strategies such as anticipatory governance, policy experimentation, community-centric design, digital public goods, and open innovation. Thank you. The MOU will also facilitate knowledge exchanges and multidisciplinary research collaborations. Thank you once again. We move on to the next item, the launch of T-Face by Photonic Valley Corporation. Let me invite Mr. Venkata Simhadri, Chairman, IESA Hyderabad, Mr. Krishnamurthy, CEO, IESA National Chapter, Mr. Ajay Naini, CEO, Xilinx, Mr. Srinivas Bairi from Intel, and Dr. Madhav Pulipati, CEO of Photonics Valley Corporation, for an MOU. The Photonics Valley Corporation is a very forward-looking initiative which deals with a complete paradigm shift in computing. T-Face, Telangana Fabless Accelerator through Crowd Enablement. Telangana Fabless Accelerator through Cloud Enablement. World's first virtual platform to support the startups in the space of fabless chip design activity. It is the first global virtual platform for supporting the startups in fabless space. The platform is planning to support 50 incubators to begin with and will focus on the third generation differentiator technologies such as photonics and gallium nitride. Thank you. So we have a second MOU between Photonics Valley Corporation and TIE Hyderabad chapter. I request Dr. Madhav Pulipati and Mr. Sujay Karampuri to remain on the stage while I invite Mr. Suresh Raju, Vice Chairman of TIE Hyderabad, Mr. N. Venkatesh, Board Member TIE Hyderabad, Mr. Srinivas Chandupatla, Board Member TIE Hyderabad for an MOU. The industries supporting the platform T-Face include Intel, Micron, Qualcomm, Xilinx, IMEC, Cadence, MOSCHIP, Invecus, Synopsys and Mentor. The institutions which are involved include T-Works, T-Hub, TASK, IIT Hyderabad and JNTU Hyderabad. Thank you. So we move on to the next item in the agenda. It's a very important item for us. All of you know how Hyderabad IT is emerging, and Hyderabad is now the most preferred destination across the globe, and a lot of credit goes to the industry bodies that are supporting in this endeavor. To start with, I would like to call Mr. Prakash Bodla, Chairman of the Hyderabad chapter of the American Chamber of Commerce. He is also the Executive Head and Vice President, Carrier Technologies India Limited. Request Prakash and his team to come on the stage, please. He joined by Mr. Shashi Reddy, who is a member of the AmCham, and also by Ms. Sandhya. AmCham is playing a key role in the city. I request our Honorable Minister, along with the US Consul General in Hyderabad, to honor the AmCham team with a memento. AmCham has established a GCC Council, the Global Competency Council, with 50 members in Hyderabad, and all of them are American companies. And the incumbent US ambassador in India is the honorary president of AmCham. Thank you. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Bharani Arul, President HICC, Mr. Srinivas Rao, the CEO, Mr. Kiran Cherukuri, the Vice President, Mr. Prashant Nandella, the Secretary of HICC, to come on the stage along with the other HICC team members. HICC has been supporting the government through several CSR activities. They have taken up the IT for TS and collaborated with the United Way and other industry bodies in procuring valuable infrastructure worth about 100 crores for the Telangana hospitals across the state. HICC has also been very active in promoting the SMEs in the state through a SME committee created by the government. HICC is almost completing about 30 years of its establishment in Hyderabad. Thank you. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Srikanth Srinivasan, Vice President, Head of Membership and Outreach for NASSCOM, along with Mr. Tanmay Mukherjee, Regional Director for NASSCOM, onto the stage, please. Request our Honorable Minister, along with our Chief Guest, Mrs. Rekha Meron, who is the Chairman of NASSCOM, to present a memento. NASSCOM has been actively supporting the government of Telangana in formulating the ICT policy. The President of NASSCOM, Ms. Debjani Ghosh, has been a very active member of the Advisory Council for ICT Policy and Investments in Telangana and contributed significantly towards the evolution of the second ICT policy. NASSCOM has also been supporting the government in formulating the engineering R&D aspects of the ICT policy. Thank you. Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy Garu, who is on the stage, was an earlier chairman or past chairman for NASCOM. Now I would like to invite Mr. Krishna Edula, General Secretary for the Society for Cyberabad Security Council or SCSC, along with his team to come up to the stage. Request the IT Minister to give away the memento to the SCSC team in the presence of Mr. Stephen Ravindra, Commissioner of Police for Cyberabad. Also request the IT Minister to give away a memento to Mr. Stephen Ravindra. SCSC has been instrumental in running some flagship programs in areas such as women's safety, cyber security, road safety, traffic management, infrastructure management, and business continuity. They have been literally anywhere and everywhere in the community. During the COVID pandemic, SCSC has done a phenomenal job in conducting vaccination drives. As all of you know, they have facilitated work from homes and other programs and have become a very integral part of the community. And SCSC along with Cyberabad Police and other commissionerates are a major reason why Hyderabad is today the safest metro as per statistics from the Indian Statistical Bureau. Thank you. Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, Pratyusha. Now we move on to the next item. The largest employer in Hyderabad, milestone recognition. I'm sure most of you know who it is. There we go. So we have several companies including TCS, Infosys, Wipro, Cognizant, Deloitte, Capgemini, Accenture, Genpact. A lot of you are here. But on this occasion, we would like to recognize TCS, the largest employer in the state in the IT sector. They have crossed the 50,000 employee mark earlier this year, and within a span of another 6 months or 8 months, they have crossed the 60,000 mark. Now they're at 62,000. So on this occasion, we would like to invite Viraat, he's already on the stage, Senior Vice President and Global Head Technology Business Unit TCS, to receive a special recognition from the Honorable Minister. Rajan, please. Mr. Rajanna is a member of our Advisory Council for IT Policy and Investments. He is also the past President of HICC and past Chairman of the local chapter of CII. Rajanagar.
Amar has given me only 1 minute, so let me try to finish in 1 minute. Good morning, and really good to see all of you. And congratulations to Honorable Minister, Mr. Jayesh, and entire team on this launch. While it's very, very essential to have a solid policy framework, I strongly believe and feel that Telangana government always differentiates itself in execution. As Amar mentioned, we crossed 62,000 employees yesterday. And I want to tell a brief story about this. I think in 2017, when we met the Honorable Chief Minister, and many of you know we have a major investment in Adipatla campus. And when we were explaining Honorable Chief Minister about our expansion plans, that we want to create the largest development center, and he was very, very happy to know that IT industry employs more than 35% women. And it is very, very good to see Rekha here today. And she is, I think, the first woman chairperson for NASCOM. Then obviously we discussed about safety issues because at that time Adipatla was the area to be considered. Then he immediately called in front of us the then DGP Mr. Anurag Sharma and Mr. C.V. Anand. At that time Rachakonda was not separated. And he told both DGP and Commissioner that I'll be very, very happy if you can establish a police station next to TCS campus within a week. And of course, it did not happen within a week, but the police made the police station next to TCS campus operational within 2 to 3 weeks. And this kind of personal attention gives you a lot of confidence, a lot of comfort that government of Telangana is always with you. And obviously, on that day I found out that he was a great businessman as well. Then when we were departing after meeting him, and he said, Rajan, I am giving you a police station, but when are you crossing 50,000 people in Hyderabad? So today I am very, very happy to let him know through this platform that we crossed 62,000 employees. So we continue to expand, and Hyderabad will remain as an integral part of TCS growth strategy. Thank you. And on this special occasion, with Honorable Minister's permission, TCS would like to contribute critical care ventilators worth of 2.2 crores to different government hospitals in Telangana. I just want to hand over this letter to Honorable Minister. Thank you.
It's a 2 crore check handed over by Mr. Rajanna to the Honorable Minister. Thank you, Rajanna. Now we move on to the next item, the TSAT ICFI. Thank you, Rajanna. Now we move on to the next item, the TSAT ICFI Knowledge Partner MOU. I'd like to invite Mr. Shailesh Reddy, CEO of TSAT, along with Professor J. Mahendra Reddy, Vice Chancellor of ICFI Foundation for Higher Education, and Professor S. Vijay Lakshmi, Registrar, onto the stage. TSAT and online in the areas of agriculture, medicine, competitive exams and other areas. Today we are having this MOU between ICFI and TSAT. MOU is intended to bridge the learning resources gap and transfer knowledge using the resources of ICFI to the students at universities across Telangana. Students of Telangana can access the classes by ICFI faculty at no cost through satellite, cable and new media. ICFI will produce 20-minute video lessons of select courses that are most sought after by students at universities across Telangana. Thank you. Now we move on to the next item. It's my pleasure to invite Padma Shri BVR Mohan Reddy Garu, a great friend of Hyderabad, a visionary and a founder chairman of SCIENT, former chairman of NASCOM, to say a few words on this occasion.
Honorable Minister KT Ramarao Garu, dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. It's indeed an honor and a pleasure to address you this morning. I'll just not take more than 3 minutes that's been allotted to me. At the outset, let me congratulate the state of Telangana for the splendid job that they have done in promoting the IT-enabled services sector, but more dominantly now called as a technology sector. It's not just IT-enabled services, but it's technology which is being promoted so extensively. We've heard many good things about Telangana, be it the ability to attract the best of companies from all around the world, the ability to grow. In these difficult times, our ability to have continuity in terms of delivering value to our customers. But equally importantly, Mr. K.T. Ramarao's vision of going to Tier 2 towns, whether it's Warangal, Karimnagar, Adilabad, or bringing in more amount of inclusivity in terms of women empowerment. I think my colleague Rajan talked about how he improved the number of women being employed in his organization. So in all these counts, they've done a splendid job. So what can we do for them is join your hands and clap for Mr. K.T. Ramarao, congratulating him for the good work that he and his team does. Certainly, yes, the leadership, the political leadership is extremely important. Mr. K.T. Ramarao, under the leadership of Mr. K. Chandrasekhar Rao Garu, provides that vision, but it gets ably executed by our IT Secretary, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan. He's been the IT Secretary for 5 years and he did a splendid job. So congratulations, Jayesh Garu. Given this opportunity for me, I'm not the 50,000 people company, but I do my bit. I have about 10,000 of them, but I'm the homegrown product of Hyderabad. I feel very proud about it. We will continue to grow our from strength to strength in the city of Hyderabad, in the rural town of Warangal, and so on and so forth. I just have 2 points to make to the Honorable Minister today. It's an amazing policy, sir, that you have released today, and it does touch upon these issues, the 2 issues that I'll talk about, but I needed to emphasize them, is a skill requirement. Today, if you have a major crisis in this country, honestly, I believe it is all about not having right skilled people for executing work. The 21st century skills are going to be far different from the skills we have seen so far. Our ability to not only service the requirements at this point of time, but more importantly, service the future requirements, makes it imperative at this point of time that we make interventions in our education system to ensure that we will have future skills in every campus and future-ready student from every engineering college. It's not just the IITs, it's not the Tier 1s, the Tier 2s or Tier 3s. It has to be from every engineering college, we should have the skilled people. So my humble request, the first one to the Honorable Minister, is, sir, we need to look at our education system one more time to make sure that we do not have any shortfall in terms of skills at all from the city of Hyderabad. Otherwise, the reflection of it, which is not a good reflection, is attrition levels are certainly going through the roof at this point of time. Salaries are going up. So therefore, I think it's very important we certainly address this issue. The second one, which is also important, is that there is a fairly amount of intense effort going on to make India self-sufficient. I don't want to use somebody else's slogan, but it's a fairly popular slogan, so I can connect very well with you, the slogan called Atmanirbhar Bharat. It effectively says that we have to have the ability to design, engineer, innovate, manufacture, support products from India. That connect between the academia and industry is lacking. And that's because I think both of them live in glass houses. They don't have enough of interaction that's on. There are a couple of initiatives that I personally work on at this point of time. But my request to, again, the Honorable Minister is somehow bring these academia into the industry. Whether these be programs in terms of trying to showcase what they have done so far. So there is a fairly good amount of work that's being done. The key thing is that they don't market them. They're not doing research for marketability. They're not, because my belief is research has become one-way traffic. We go pour money and money after it. But we need to get the second-way traffic, the reverse way. That's basically you need to monetize the effort that goes into it. So the second request is the policy should also bring in the ability to connect the academia and the industry to make sure we have great future for all of us. Again, thank you very much to all of you for listening to me, and congratulations to the Honorable IT Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You have provided some valuable suggestions to us, and you have done more than your job for the city of Hyderabad. On the request of the Honorable Minister, you have set up a very good and a fantastic campus for science in Warangal. You bought World Congress for IT when you were the chairman of NASCOM. and you've been on the board of T-Hub, giving advices to us. You've been a chairman of IIT Hyderabad, so pretty much you've done everything for the ecosystem in Hyderabad. Thank you, sir. So now we move on to the next item. We would like to recognize some of the government bodies. When you say Hyderabad IT is doing very well, I mean, there are a lot of people who support this ecosystem. Now we are recognizing the government bodies. First, I would like to invite Mr. Chinna Reddy, who is the superintending engineer for the Serlingampalli zone, GHMC, to come and receive a memento from the Honorable Minister. While he is on the way to the stage, GHMC is involved in a lot of strategic road development plan works. They ease the traffic and maintain top-notch infrastructure. You see, all the flyovers that are built around your IT corridor, the underpasses, all the work is taken up by GHMC. And no wonder Hyderabad is the most livable city rated by Mercer for 5 years in a row. Thank you. Now, I would like to invite the Zonal Manager, Mr. Shravan Kumar, from TSIAC, to receive a memento from the Honorable Minister. He was seen earlier. Okay. TSIAC does a great job in maintaining all the roads and the infrastructure in the high-tech city and the financial district and the Raidurg areas. Thank you. And now the STPI. STPI Hyderabad was one of the earliest centers established, and it was established in Hyderabad in 1991 in Maitrivanam. Some of the veterans like our B.V.R. Mohan Reddy Garu know the history of how it started. And when STPI was established as a scheme in India, one of the first centers that were established across India was in Hyderabad in Maitrivanam. In the last year, our state generated 1,45,000 crores of IT exports, and STPI's contribution was 70,000 crores. I would like to invite Mr. CVD Ram Prasad, who is the director of STPI, to come and receive a memento from the minister. Thank you, Ram Prasad Garu. Now I would like to invite Mr. Srinivasu Kaligotla, the Deputy Development Commissioner for the VSEZ. We have 130 operational EOUs in the state, and SEZs accounted for 75,000 crores of exports from Hyderabad. And looking at the numbers they have this year, so far, until the end of August, they may be even on pace to touch 1 lakh crores. Thank you, Srinivas Garu. Thank you for all the support. So we move on to the next item. Remarks by the US Consul General in Hyderabad, Mr. Joel Reifman. Respected Consul General in Hyderabad, Mr. Joel Reifman is a very important part of the community here. Mr. Reifman has also been a very active member and a special invitee on our Advisory Council for ICT Policy and Investments in Telangana. Request the Consul General to offer his remarks on this occasion. Please.
Thank you very much. Many of you may know that the U.S. Consulate General in Hyderabad is the newest one in India. So back in 2007, when the United States government announced we want to put a consulate in South India, Hyderabad was not the obvious choice. And so we looked at other cities, which shall not be named, which were seemingly more obvious, and we said we'd like a headquarters, and they were like, oh, kind of, maybe, sort of. But at that point, the United Government of Andhra Pradesh said, oh no, we want you here now. We have a palace for you, here and now. And so this government, headed by K.T. Rama Rao's father, KCR, and then also you see it in K.T. Rama Rao, you see it in Jayesh Ranjan. They inherited that can-do attitude. And so I'm fortunate to be here because I have never seen a closer, a broader, and a deeper involvement between the United States and India than I have in Hyderabad. Absolutely, that deserves an applause. And a few things, why do I say that? Number one of my colleagues did a back-of-the-envelope contribution. And simply in the IT services technology fintech sector, he counted 48 U.S. firms, I'm sure there are more, with an investment from 2018 of $5.65 billion and employment of over 110,000 people. And that's just in IT and IT services. And so Hyderabad, and I keep saying it's the most dynamic city in India because IT is just one of the three nodes. There's aerospace and defense, there's also bio and pharma. And these three nodes don't operate in silos. It takes IT to run all of this. Now, so that's the depth, is that you have enormous figures, but in the breadth, in the people-to-people, it's really extraordinary. For instance, BVR Mohan Reddy is a fellow Michigan grad. So when I first met him, it was at the University of Michigan Alumni Club and in Hyderabad. What you have is the CEOs of Alphabet, of Microsoft, of Adobe. They all went to school down the road at the Hyderabad Public School. So all of these cross-cutting connections are so important. And so I'm very proud to be a part of that ecosystem, and I want to congratulate this government because it does two critical things. Number one, it creates a vision. And number two, it executes that vision. So congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Joel Reifman. Now I'd request the Honorable Minister to give a memento to Mr. Joel Reifman. Sorry. So request the other guests to join. The US Consul General plays a very important role in addressing the expat issues. And as you know, more than 50% of our exports go into the US. It's very important for us to maintain that relationship. Thank you. I'd also request the Honorable Minister to give away a memento to Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy Garu. Thank you. Now we move on to the next item. Would like to invite Mr. Pranav Hebbar, co-founder Make Room India, and Mrs. Shanta Tautam, CIO for Telangana State Innovation Cell, and Annie Vijaya, Head of Sustainability and Scalability in TSIC, for the launch of the I2E Lab 2.0 with Make Room India. I2E Lab, along with TSIC, has completed the first cohort with 8 startups, and they collectively raised rupees 45 lakhs and market access to 30 lakhs. Please cheer for the launch of the I2E Lab 2.0 with Make Room India. Thank you. I would like to call Mr. Shravan Kumar, Zonal Manager for TSIC. He just stepped out earlier to check upon the infrastructure around the Novotel and HICC. He's back now to receive a memento from the Honorable Minister. TSIC plays a key role in building the infrastructure for promoting IT in the IT corridors. And Shravan Garu is the Zonal Manager for this area. Thank you. We move on to the next program. Microsoft's cloud partnership with Telangana. I would like to invite Mr. Navatej Bal, Executive Director, Public Sector, Microsoft India, Mr. Ashutosh Chadha, Director and Country Head, Public Policy, and Mr. Maurya Teja from Octus. With this MOU, Microsoft will develop cloud capabilities for the government of Telangana. They will provide consultancy for AI, ML and blockchain, and cloud credits for Azure Infra, and cyber security training, and also cyber crime training. Thank you. Thank you. Now we have the remarks from our chief guest. Before Mrs. Rekha Menon comes onto the dais podium, I would like to just briefly go over her bio. Rekha Menon is a leading industry voice on advanced technology-led innovation and socio-economic progress. Rekha is also a member of the National Council of CII and USIBC's India Advisory Council. She is also on the board of governance of her alma mater, the XLRI School of Business, and two not-for-profits, Pradham Books and Akshara Foundation. Rekha regularly features on lists of the most powerful women in business in India and is recognized among the top 10 LGBT ally executives globally. Prior to joining Accenture, Rekha was an entrepreneur. She co-founded two technology companies and a not-for-profit company. An active hiker and cycling enthusiast, Rekha is also a voracious reader. Ladies and gentlemen, with a big round of applause, please invite Mrs. Rekha Menon to say a few words to us.
Oh, that's fine, that's fine. Namaskar. I'm very glad to be here. And Mr. KT Rama Rao, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, dynamic leaders who are leading this very innovative change and this state. So it's an honor for me to be here in my role as chair for NASSCOM and as chair for Accenture, both of which have very large presence in Telangana. Okay. Height differences. We know, all of us know about Telangana's growth story, and a lot of it has been scripted by the investments and the innovations in technology. And over the last few years, we've seen constant innovation, constant new policies, and what it has done actually is generated currently about 6.5 lakh jobs in the IT/ITES sector. Speaking for that, if I just look back, the startup industry just in the last few years has gone from 0 to about 1,500, and the collaboration that the state enabled with VHub or T-Works or Rich, there was also connected them to about 1,800 crores of investment, plus with very strong institutional partnerships with WEF and UNDP and World Bank. And we in the technology industry have also had a very long-standing, rich relationship with Telangana. Your very progressive policies have always set benchmarks, whether you were the first to launch the cybersecurity policy, the state innovation policy, or the innovative Telangana government mentor program. It's your path-breaking initiatives that then translated into the growth that we talked about. So thank you for that. From an industry perspective, we've also seen the investment, and NASSCOM has collaborated very closely. There have been very deep engagements, and we've seen that happen, whether it's the Telangana AI mission, where we are partnering for AI adoption and innovation, or the Data Security Council of India, which is running a COE here, or the Future Skills Partnership with TASK, which is actually focusing on future skill building, a very critical need, right? And then speaking for Accenture itself, our relationship with Telangana is long and deep. We have a large presence in the state, and our CSR program is already running in 5 districts here. And we recently supported the setup of 120-bed CCU in Nizamabad for the COVID relief measures. So both ways, the relationship has been deep. And the other area I really want to thank the government, or the state government, is for during the last 18 months, where as an industry and as all of us went through very deep crises, I need to express our gratitude for the support we got, whether it was the timely interventions on SEZ relaxation, whether it was providing clearance to operate during statewide lockdowns, allowing night shift movement. All of that helped us keep our essential services running, helped us continuing to deliver to our clients, and also to keep our people safe. So a big thank you for that. If we look ahead, IT industry in India actually is back on its growth trajectory. And we continue to lead India's economic recovery. We collectively generated about 195 billion worth of revenue last year, of which 150 billion was export revenue for the Indian economy, and which actually translates roughly to about 8% of India's GDP and about 52% of share of services export. And in the same period, if I look at the Telangana numbers, and they were already spoken about, the state witnessed a 13% growth in the technology industry, which translated to about 145,000 crores and an 8% growth in employment, which is saying a lot at a time where there was a crisis in the economy happening. And I have to give some credit to that for your forward-looking policies, because they have underscored the growth. The IT reforms, the new sectoral policies, which we're working on for open data, blockchain, data analytics, AI, they are going to be at the core. And we've seen that the pandemic has actually proved that technology is a lifeline for societies and economies globally. And it plays a very vital role in driving not just economic growth, but sustainable, equal growth, and giving access, providing social services to the most remote areas and to the most underserved communities. And in India, we're well capitalized to take that opportunity and become the world leaders, but we have to invest in a few areas. For example, rapid digitalization is creating, and Mohan Garu spoke to that, is creating an unprecedented demand for completely new skills. And those skills are changing all the time, whether it's AI or robotics or IoT. And currently, if we look across India, the demand for digital skills is 8 times what's available. So if we don't take this on a crisis mode and re-look at skilling in an absolutely different way, we are going to lose huge opportunities, right? We've also envisioned the future of work because the pandemic allowed us to rethink the way we all work. Now we need to make that happen as we start coming back to work and create the new hybrid model. And for that, enabling policies will have to be put in place, right? And then there are big growth opportunities in the emerging sectors, SaaS, software products, engineering, R&D, e-commerce, semiconductor manufacturing. and in advanced technologies like quantum computing and AI. But realizing all those opportunities will require very focused investments in developing deep tech startup systems, something that the state of Telangana has done. But we need it across India, and we'll need all kinds of combined efforts from business, from technology, from solution enablers, but also from the government to incorporate structural changes, whether it's labor reform or it's policy reform for data and privacy, IT procurement, and that has to happen sooner rather than later. And we're very willing to work with the government to make that happen in a collaborative way. But I'm actually very delighted to see in the ICT policy that a lot of this is getting reflected already, the future looking, whether it's digitally empowered citizens, digital government, innovation and startups, employment generation investments, and ICT for development. So it's off to a good start, but a lot more work to be done. And therefore, on behalf of NASSCOM and on behalf of Accenture, I really want to thank the government of Telangana for your continued support and partnership. And we will work with you to ensure not just our industry growth, but the socio-economic growth of Telangana. Thank you.
Can I request the Honorable Minister, Mr. KT Ramarao Garu, to felicitate the chief guest on this occasion? Pochampalli double ikat saree. So Madam has made the selection. And a filigree. Both of them are made in Telangana. There is also a press meet organized with our chief guest, Mrs. Rekha Menon, in Organizer Office 2 after the event, right after the event. There is a press meet organized with Mrs. Rekha Menon in Organizer Office Suite 2 right after the event. Thank you. There are a lot of other people that have contributed to the success and the growth of the IT in the state. We may not be able to bring everybody on the stage and thank them, but I would just like to make a mention of some of the people who have really contributed. Some of the IPCs are here, the International Property Consultants, CBRE, JLL, Cushman, Colliers, Knight Frank. I see some of them here. And also the real estate developers. They have done their role. They have built fantastic grade A spaces. A lot of them are here as well. We thank all of you for being a part of the growth story. Now, we move on to the next item. And we would like to recognize the Advisory Council for ICT Policy and Investments in Telangana. A lot of them are globally, or most of them or all of them are globally reputed leaders in their own fields. Some of them are here in Hyderabad and some of them are globally present. So we would like to invite all of those who are present here. Mr. Arijit Sarkar, Vice President of Google. Mr. Arijit Sarkar, Vice President of Google. Mr. Rajiv Chilaka, Founder of Green Gold Animation. Mr. Shashi Reddy, Vice President of Engineering for Qualcomm. Mr. Narasimha Rao, Executive Vice President for Infosys. And Mr. Ramesh Kaja, Senior Vice President for State Street, onto the stage. As you may know, they all represent different sectors and are leaders in their own right. And we had multiple meetings with them for evolving the ICT policy and many other decisions for the government. Thank you. Now, we would like to hear from the man who leads from the front. Our Minister